I'll never forget the day my grandfather died. So I was sitting on the couch writing, and my grandmother walked in the door. Now, as she walked in the door, my sister, who was upstairs in the shower, screamed like to the top of her lungs. And I knew what it meant only because a few years before that, my great grandfather died. And the same thing happened. She was in the shower and she screamed. And as she screamed, the phone rung. They all happened like boom, boom, boom. So when the phone rung, I saw it was the hospital. I handed it to my grandmother. We looked at one another. She answered the phone and she said, "Shit." He waited till I left, turned around and walked out the door. I knew what had happened. My grandfather had lung cancer and he had went back into the hospital a few days before that. I immediately jumped into action because my little sister's upstairs screaming. I ran upstairs. I'm holding her. She just kept screaming, "No, Nee, no, no." I'm like, "It's okay. Calm down, calm down, calm down." I got her to bed. I went back downstairs and I wrote a poem to my grandfather. My grandmother got back. We had a short conversation about what was to come going forward. And that was that for the day. The next day, it was time to go into action. I planned the funeral. I made the obituaries. I made the program. I organized the whole thing. I spoke to the pastor. I made the rules. I spoke to the funeral parlor. The only thing I didn't handle was the financial stuff, and that's because that's my grandmother's job. I dressed everyone. The colors were red and black because that was my grandfather's favorite color. It's also my grandmother's favorite colors. But I cried one time in that whole process, and it was when I purchased his suit, which was red. I finally found the perfect red suit, and as I handed the man my grandmother's debit card, I broke. It lasted about 10 seconds. He asked me, "Was I okay?" I sucked it up. I told him I was fine, and I went on about my, the rest of the things I had to do because I had a lot of things to do. Now, I realized once that process was complete that I was now the strong one in the family. And low-key, I had been strong for the family. It was just my first time realizing it. Like, wow, I'm really the strong one. My grandmother is mourning the love of her life. My little sister's mourning her father figure. And yes, I was mourning as well. But in true oldest daughter fashion, I guess, my feelings and my grief wasn't as important as everyone else's because I knew I could make it through. And I wish that I could say I realized that I didn't have to be strong anymore, but I've always been the strong one, and I don't know how to be anyone else, but